Damn, you are such a shifter when you're hungry. You want some elven whey bread?
A few moments later.
Thanks, man. I feel much better.
So let's talk shifter. What D&D character class should you play?
Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Steve, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Maybe it's the first time visiting Ted's basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we even discuss other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
All right, so we are going to delve back into Eberron, and we're going to talk about shifters. Some of my favorite novels from Eberron have involved shifters.
I think the shifters are a really cool race. If you really feel that, that lycanthrope, that were creature vibe, shifters are the place to go because you can kind of get that feel without actually having to deal with all the curse of lycanthropy.
We actually have a bunch of shifters to take a look at. The base shifter race gets a +1 to Dex.
The shifter also gets keen senses perception and dark vision.
Shifters get the ability to, shift. As a bonus action, they can end it or start it. And what it does, it gives them their con modifier plus their level in temporary hit points.
And it basically lasts a minute.
Before we dive any further into this video, let us shift into our sponsor segment, Easy Roller Dice. For all your dice rolling needs, they have a Kickstarter going on right now for reversible, self-standing dice bags, and these things look freaking amazing.
They come in a variety of different colors and options. I think they're awesome. We've been a proud supporter for Easy Roller Dice for quite a while, and the self-standing reversible dice bags are my dice bag of choice. So check it out. Support the channel by supporting our sponsors.
So our first sub-race is Beasthide, and they get a +2 to con.
They're also going to get Tough, which is going to give them proficiency in athletics, as well as when they shift, they're going to get an additional D6 of temporary hit points and a +1 bonus to AC.
Now let's delve into the expected character classes for the Beasthide shifter. And obviously, with a bonus to Dex and Con, they're going to do really well at martial classes, especially if you go with a Dex build. So fighter, ranger, rogues, they're going to do really well with these.
But I would also say with that bonus to Constitution, the bonus of temporary hit points, the bonus to armor class, I think they're going to make really great barbarians as well.
Yeah, super tanky and hard to hit and durable, so they can take a punch to the face as well.
Extra hit points plus resistance. Come on.
Now, I would say the only downside to a barbarian Beasthide shifter is those bonus actions. It's going to take you a little time to get everything going. But once you do, you're there.
that is entirely true. But, when you've got options for bonus actions, you do have to kind of mitigate.
Now we can jump into our unexpected character classes.
Because of, that tie to nature that shifters have, I definitely see them being able to go Cleric or Druid. Cleric, you could either go with War and kind of get into the whole fighty angle of stuff, or, you could go Nature and still have that attribution. Druid just totally fits for me because it's, like I said earlier in the video, these are kind of like lycanthropes light, and to me that's almost Druidic.
Well, not only that, shifters have always been kind of rustic in Eberron settings. There's also been, some alliances and traditions with the Gatekeepers, which is a Druid organization that is meant to kind of combat aberrations and things of that nature. Now, also, I would look at the Pact Warlock, because that also, to me, kind of screams something that a shifter might be involved with. They're already close to nature. Fae is closer to nature. Of the Warlock packs, I think that's the one that's most likely to tempt them.
And I would also throw out there as a possible suggestion is Monk. They have a bonus to Dex. They're having a bonus to Con, so they have all those hit points. Beasthide gets that bonus to AC. That's already building up on a lot of things that sound very monkey to me.
That will definitely mitigate the lack of wisdom. I think they could be a fun monk to play. Next up is the Longtooth subrace, and with that you're going to get a +2 to strength.
And they're also going to get a bonus action bite for a D6 plus strength mod.
It's a bonus action to do it, so this means you can technically kind of fight with 2 weapons using a big heavy weapon as well.
I think that's a lot of fun. Like, I'm going to smack you with a big thing and then come in for the bite. It's not really, expected for a lot of different, characters.
Or you can go sword and board and still get the extra bonus attack as well and have the higher AC. So you definitely have options.
Indeed. Now, that bite is only a shifter feature, so when you've shifted, that's when you get their bite. Their teeth aren't really quite long enough until they go beast mode.
Okay, let's take a look at expected character classes.
So we're getting strength and we're getting dex. That's going to lead us, very heavily towards all of those martial classes. So you're looking at fighter, you're looking at ranger, you're looking at rogue, you're looking at barbarian. All of these would be good character classes to play.
For our Longtooth, we really aren't mixing things up very differently from the Beast tie for Unexpected. Again, you have the ties to nature, so any of the domains that are naturally, they're going to work, or warlike or kind of primitive, work really well for the Cleric. Druid kind of speaks for itself. Also, there's nothing to say you couldn't shift while you wild shape. So you could get extra savage while wild shape. So Circle of the Moon will probably work really well. And again, we have that connection to nature. So Warlock Pact of the Fae, I think, would work pretty well.
So next up is Swift Stride, and they're getting another +1 to Dex and a +1 to Charisma.
So now we're going to finally get into a shifter that actually has a lot of variance from the other ones we've been looking at. As a Swift Stride shifter, you're going to get Graceful, which is proficiency with acrobatics. And you're also going to get Swift, which is an additional +5 of walking speed for movement.
So, on top of that, your shifter features, you're going to get an additional 5 feet of movement when you are shifted, in addition to that 5, as well as a reaction. When an enemy ends their turn within 5 feet of you, you can move 10 feet without provoking opportunity attacks. So you've got the ability to just get out of dodge before they get their attack off. So that's kind of nice.
It is very nice. So expected classes here, we're actually going to get some different options. Any of your charisma casters, essentially your bard, your sorcerer, your warlock, these guys are going to excel at that.
But we're also dealing with, bonuses to dexterity. So, your ranger and your rogue are definitely up on the tops of the list. Is that it?
You could even go with a dex-based fighter as well, depending on how you want to do it. And I might even say a dex-based paladin would work for these guys as well. A little bit more of a unorthodox build. So, unexpected character classes.
It seems a pretty common theme, and we're going to, hear us talk about it a lot. But those ties to nature, Cleric and Druid, make a lot of sense. And there's a lot of fun combinations depending upon which subclasses you wind up going with these, interesting abilities. But that monk with that extra movement that your race is going to give you, this guy is going to be bouncing all over the battlefield. So monk, definitely.
Next up is the Wild Hunt subrace for the shifter, and they get a +2 to wisdom in addition to that dex bonus.
So they're going to get Natural Tracker, which is going to give them proficiency with survival. And then when they shift, they're going to get advantage on wisdom checks.
Now, they also have an ability called Mark the Scent. When a creature is within 10 feet of them, they can use a bonus action to mark that scent. So until they take a long rest, they have double their proficiency bonus to track that particular individual by scent.
And they're automatically going to know where they are if that target is within 60 feet of them. And this is the first time you're really seeing, a shifter that has an ability that kind of is like outside of combat for when you want to shift. So I think that's a really interesting point of note.
Yes, if you're on the hunt for a minute anyway, you can get advantage on that wisdom check and have double your proficiency bonus against a particular individual. So they're hard to get away from.
So expected character classes, we're looking at wisdom, we're looking at dexterity. That offers up a lot of options. So all of your wisdom casters, your cleric and druid, as we mentioned before, your dex-based, warriors. So we're looking at ranger, we're looking at rogue, we're looking at dex-based fighter. But dex and wisdom, that means monk.
Yeah, so pretty much the Wild Hunt has a lot of options, just based off of the stats. You have some abilities that are going to make things kind of interesting. I kind of want to play a monk now for the Wild Hunt shifter. The only unexpected there is really from the ones that we've been picking from is the Warlock for these folks. And because they get so many options for their expected character classes, it just doesn't leave much.
Indeed. So those are our takes on what you should play as a shifter.
Let us know what you're playing in your games when you play the shifter. What's your favorite combinations? Down in the comments below. But before we head on out, I want to take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy, the adventuring party. Ted, what can they expect over there?
Over on Patreon, we're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways, and our patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description where you can join Nerdarchy, the adventuring party on Patreon. And until next time,
Stay nerdy.